Hello gamers, and welcome to today's video on completing the square. Yeah, this is what we're gonna do today. So you might be wondering, why on earth would I want to complete the square? Well, the answer to that is actually quite simple. Now, obviously, because we're dealing with quadratics, there are going to be multiple solutions. For instance, you might be trying to pass a high school math exam, or perhaps more often you're trying to impress a girl, or maybe even you're trying to crush the American dream. So let's just jump into how you're supposed to go about completing the square. Alright, so let's say, for example, and you're gonna have to excuse my handwriting here because it's not too good. That's an X, I promise. Anyway, we're just gonna chuck some of these terms on, you know, just, drawing with a mouse isn't fun. Anyway, let's say you have this equation, right? And I asked you, yo, find me the value of x. Can you do it? You're probably saying, yes, I can. Chuck in this formula, you know, you just... Hold on, let me just draw it up real quick. I'm doing it tricky. Alright, so as you can see, go for A, C, do. Alright, now if I'm not mistaken, that's probably what you're thinking of doing. You're saying x is simply equal to that. And all I have to say is, you're a fucking idiot. Like, did you think you could impress me with that? Like, oh wow, you know a formula, good job. Have a cigar. No, I'm disappointed. In fact, I'm actually going to get rid of this right here. Well, first, I'm going to distort it just to show my lack of respect for it. You know what? I might actually just keep it in the corner. That's the yeah, that's what I think of it. So anyway, let's move on to how to be an American hero and how to effectively complete the square. How to find the value of x like a man. How to crush the American dream, impress that girl, and pass your extension. No, not even extension. I don't know what I'm saying. Your high school math exam. Your standard high school math exam, because that's the level we're talking about here. Anyway, this is quite simple. So we're going to start. That's our first line of working. And we're going to start by, firstly, dividing every term by a, because I said so. And so yeah, I'm just going to sit here in silence as I write all this out. You don't need to divide 0 by a, because you just don't. Like, 0 divided by or multiplied by anything, 0, except 0. 0 divided by 0, I do believe, doesn't work. Anyway, I haven't done maths in a while, so I'm a bit rusty, you know, I'm a bit rusty, so you're gonna have to cut me some slack. Anyway, but to answer the question of why you want to divide everything by 8, it's pretty simple, really. So, we all know our perfect square, right? A plus B squared is equal to A squared. That's a 2 plus 2. A lot of 2's here. A, B plus B squared. Another 2. Look at that. 3 of them. Coincidence. Anyway, we're getting off the track thing. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here, but you know, we go from this to this, right? You know, you might have a box to do it. You know, I might, for example, go like A, B, B, B's for beta male, by the way, which is what you probably are if you don't know this already, and I'm having to explain it to you right now. then, you know, AB, AB, and then you just add them all together, right? Which is that. And don't forget to collect like terms with these bad boys. Anyway, what's the point of all this? Well, we know it. It's easy to get from this side to this side, but how do we do vice versa? We just sort of remember the rule that like one goes to the other. Anyway, how does this apply to what we were actually doing? Well, quite simply, we want to use this whole concept to complete the square, right? So, let me just get rid of these dumb lines. So, you know, to complete the square, you know, we have this, but like, you know, we can say that this is our a term, so we got a squared, but now we need a 2ab and a b squared. So how do we get that? Well, it's quite simple, right? We just say that this is our 2ab term right here, and so if we say, you know, let bx over a equal 2ab, although these a and b here aren't necessarily these values. You know what? We're actually going to replace that a with an x, right? X, and we'll make this the Japanese letter su. Right? And now we can get rid of x on both sides to be left with b on a, which is equal to 2 su. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And then what do we do here to get su? Well, we basically just go b on a, oh sorry, 2a, alright, because we're dividing both sides by 2, is equal to su. Alright, so now that we have su, all we gotta do is, you know, get a su squared, right, because that'll make our third and final term for the square. And we want that square because a square means success in the business world and whatnot. Alright, so to get this, we're going to use a tactic which you might have seen before. Like, say for example you have x minus 1 is equal to 5. How do you find the value of x? That's a 5, by the way. Yeah, there we go. Let's put it like a minus there. Okay, well, you can add 1 to both sides, and it doesn't change. You know, it's consistent, right? They're both going to have 1 to the... They're both the same value. You add 1 to the same value twice, so that they're going to end up with the same final value. So we can safely say that... Well, we can do that, you know, plus 1 to both sides. You get 6, you get z, you get 6, you get 0. And, yeah, so you're just left with x equals 6. I'm explaining what doesn't need to be explained right now, so I'm just going to stop. And get back to what's important. Nothing anymore. So anyway, we have this shit. Where were we left off with that? So what we're going to do is we're going to add su squared to both sides of the equation. So su is b on 2a. So we want, well, first off, actually no, I'm going to do what's called a pro gamer move and copy and paste the first part that we don't need to redo. Alright, so here we are. Let me just get rid of that. Alright, so we have x squared plus bx on a, but we know su squared, which is the final part of our square that we need, is equal to b on 2a. So we can say plus b on 2a, all squared. Hang on, wait a minute. Okay, I should probably mention that b on 2a is equal to su, and if we square both sides, that's what we're getting. So su squared is actually b on 2a all squared, and so yeah, that's what we have. Hold on a sec, I need to give us some more room. That should be good. Alright, let's continue. So we obviously have the terms that we had before, you can't just sort of get rid of those. and by those I mean C over A, as seen here by my hideous handwriting, which is equal to, and remember we're adding 2 squared to both sides, so 2 squared, albeit a bit wider, not really, but is going to be added to this side, right? So what do we do now? Well, I know this might come as a shock to you, but this right here, I'll use red to make it more clear. This right here is actually the same as this. So what we can do, right? Wait, not that. I got rid of it. But yeah, if you're paying attention before, you'll understand why I'm able to do the following. X, plus B on 2A, or 2, all squared, is going to expand out to be what's sort of underlined in red here. And I'm actually going to keep the C here, the C on A. Which is equal to, and we'll expand this out, we got B squared on 4A squared. God, that's horrible. It's awful. Alright, and because I'm lazy and handwriting with a mouse is hard, I'm going to copy this once more, make it a bit shorter, and we're going to go boo 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 boo. C on A, like that, and you got your B squared on 4A squared. Alright, and now we all know how to add fractions, you just make I think the denominators are the bottom ones. Make the denominators the same. So to do that, we just it's just 4A times A is going to be 4A squared, so they would be the same. And so we can quite simply and effectively, new line, integrate this as a puppet, which we do so, like so, bo, da, do. Just remember what you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom. There you go, and that's all on 4A squared. But now we're going to square root both sides because we want to get x on its own, dog. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And oop, there we go. There's the big square root sign. B squared. Do note that there's a minus sign here. I'll put it in red again so you can see it better. Alright, so yeah, B squared minus 4A C all over 4A squared. And now the cool thing you can do here, and also your alarm bells are probably going off, you're probably going, I know this part, I'm not sure about this part, but I know this part. And yeah, you would. Good job. Have a medal. Have a cigar. I remember earlier I said have a cigar in like sarcasm or something. I can't even remember at this point. Well, now you can actually have one. Or something. No, really, you don't deserve it. And also they're bad for you. Anyway, after health advice, maths. So with the maths, we continue and say we can take the square root of the denominator. Again, I'm pretty sure it's the denominator, just the bottom one, right? Which is just 2, square root of 4, and square root of A squared, which is A. And the top stays square rooted. And so, we get 4AC. Alright, and then the next step is we minus the B on 2A to the other side, minus to both sides. And now you're going to be like, oh look, isn't that convenient, it's 2A and we don't even have to do anything with the fractions, and you'd be right. And so yeah, we're just going to chuck in our discriminant, which is this thing, the square root part, all on 2a. Now you might be wondering, what's this random gap I've left between the negative b and our discriminant? Well, some mathematicians out there might argue that I've actually made a mistake. And they'd be wrong, because what you're actually supposed to do is go all the way up to here and then put in the plus or minus. You definitely do not put the plus or minus in as soon as you square root both sides. You always just leave it ambiguous up until you necessarily need to make it more clear or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's how you find the values here of x in this equation. And you could say, well, what's the point of all this working when I have the formula? It's called getting that dub, which might entail, you know, progressing with a great leap forward for your great country, or, you know, revisiting the colonial policy, or maybe it's just a simple Rhineland. I don't know, I'm making a lot of World War II references, yeah. I'm just a history expert, not like a gamer. Because gamers are lame. Yes, stick to school and maths. Anyway, that's how you complete the square, so enjoy.